Hey, it's me, Lydia Shampole, and welcome to WYNWYNI. That's what you need when you need it. Today, we are going to be talking about motivation. I just have a few tips and tricks for you to get out there and just begin. This is going to be a super short episode where there is no guest. Let's jump right in. Motivation. We all have it in small doses. We can motivate ourselves to get up a bit early, or to go out to that work function, or even to have one ice cream scoop when you know that you really want 3. But when it comes to the kind of motivation that it takes to follow our dreams and create new things, that's where it gets a little bit difficult. We all have a bunch of ideas running through our minds 24/7, and we look at all of these websites and people chasing their dreams, and it all seems so easy. But we just convince ourselves that we are just too tired right now and that we'll have a little bit more time tomorrow to look at it. And the next thing you know, there we are, sitting on the couch, binge watching the newest episode of whatever Netflix has conjured up for us. What I'm saying is that the hardest part of chasing your dreams or making your idea real is not just to begin. It's to continue beginning every single day, to motivate yourself to get up and just start. So how do you fix this? How do you start beginning? What I've learned by listening to so many successful people is you start by setting little goals and then you don't tell anyone. You keep it to yourself until you accomplish these tiny foundational steps to the overall goal. I know that sounds crazy, but here's why that works. Let's say you want to do something that you've never done before, like run a half marathon. You haven't set a date, but anytime somebody asks you what you have planned for your year, you say, "Oh, I am going to run a half marathon this year." And they congratulate you and tell you how awesome that is and how crazy you are for wanting to do this. And for the rest of that day, you'll go around with that high that comes from that recognition and all of the energy that comes from talking about things that we all dream about doing. But then you get tired from work and you get home only to have to cook and clean and think about everything else that comes with being an adult. So by the time you think about going for that jog that will prepare you for the half marathon, you are completely exhausted. So you think about it and you decide, oh, it's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I have all of the time to do this tomorrow. See, the more you think that way, the more likely it is that 10 years from now, you will look back and see that you haven't done a single thing that you had wanted to do with your life. The cycle will continue until you decide to break it. I've had this exact thing happen to me so many times in my life, like this podcast or my website. I kept talking about all of the great things that I would do, but I just never began. I would get this burst of motivation about once a week where I would scribble all of my ideas down and start researching and talking to people about how I should design my website and how I can sell my artwork. But by the end of the day, I would go to bed and tell myself that I could do it tomorrow, or on the weekend when I didn't have so much more on my mind. So, how do you kick your motivation into gear? How do you convince yourself to just begin? Well, there are a couple of ways that I've picked up over the last couple of years. Here are the 3 things that I started using to help me start taking my dreams a little bit more seriously. Now, I'm not claiming to be an expert adult or even an expert dream chaser. I'm just giving you a few tips that help me on my day-to-day basis. Okay, so number 1, you can write out 1 goal per day on your notes in your phone and take a screenshot. Then make that screenshot into your phone wallpaper. It can be anything from work out for 30 minutes or apply for 2 jobs today, or even something like read 5 pages out of a book that you've been putting off for the last couple of months. Anything that you need to do, just post it somewhere that you will see it repeatedly. This keeps your mind working on it subconsciously and allows you to prioritize your responsibilities so that you have time to do everything that you need to do that day. All right, so number 2, look for events or people that are doing something that excites you. If it's painting or writing or designing video games, maybe it's a book club or a networking social group. Whatever it is, I'm absolutely positive that there's someone out there who loves the same thing that you do. So find them on a social media platform and ask them if they want to collaborate with you. And if that's too much for you, ask them if they have any advice on how to get started. I know one of the best websites for finding people who like the same things you do is Tumblr, and I've been using it for quite some time. Anyway. Okay, so number 3, don't get so caught up working towards your goals that you don't have time for yourself or your loved ones. Make time to do other things. Someone once said that if you do interesting things and read interesting things, then you will never run out of inspiration. So get out there and go to events that you find interesting, meet people, and expand your mind. Also, one last tip for my fellow introverts. If someone is within 5 feet of you, like if you can see their eye color, just say hello. It doesn't have to lead to a full-blown conversation, and most times it won't. But saying hi whenever this happens will allow you to start getting more comfortable with approaching people and eventually learning how to network without stressing your life out. I like to live by the little doses rule, and by that I mean a little dose of stress now is a million times better than a full-blown meltdown if I have to speak in front of a huge crowd or if I'm thrown into a room full of strangers and told to mingle. So I hope these tips help you, and that a year from now you can look back and see that you have accomplished far more than you had initially imagined. Alright, thank you for listening to WYNWYNI. I'll be posting new episodes every Friday, so please subscribe so those can automatically download for you. Alright, till next time.